Once upon a time, in the busy city of Lagos, the moon was full that night, casting a silver glow over the city. As midnight approached, something strange began to stir in the heart of the city. A market appeared, shimmering into existence by the lagoon, a place no one dared visit after dark. Rumors spread among the fishermen about the night market, a place where the waves whispered secrets no human dared to enter, for it was said that mermaids from the depths came to shop beneath the moonlight. Tayo, a young man from the mainland, was always curious. He had heard of the market, but dismissed the tales as myths. Yet, tonight, something pulled him towards the water's edge. He could hear faint music, a melody too beautiful to resist. Ignoring his mother's warnings, Tyre slipped through the dark alleyways towards the lagoon. The path seemed longer than usual, as if time itself were stretching. Shadows seemed to dance, following him at every step. As Tyre reached the lagoon, he saw it, the night market. Lanterns floated in the air, and shimmering figures moved about, their voices distant echoes. His heart raced, but he pressed on, driven by an inexplicable force. The market stalls were unlike anything Tyre had seen. Strange fruits, glowing herbs, and treasures of the deep were displayed. The vendors, their eyes gleamed like stars, their skin glowing, shimmering in the moonlight. Tyre's breath caught as he saw her, a mermaid. She glided effortlessly between stalls. Her tail sparkled like silver, buying fruits and pearls. Her beauty was hypnotic, but there was something frightening about her gaze. As Tyre wandered deeper into the market, an old woman grabbed his arm. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. Her eyes were wide with fear. "Leave before the tide turns, or you will be trapped in their world forever." Ignoring the old woman, Tayo picked up a strange glowing fruit. The vendor smiled wickedly and whispered, "Taste it." But as Tayo bit into it, his mind went blank for a moment. He felt lost, as if he had forgotten something important. Tayo walked aimlessly through the market, realizing he had lost track of time. Every path led him back to the same stall. Panic set in as the realization dawned. He was trapped. The market was a maze, and there was no way out. High above the market, a figure watched Tyre's every move. Her eyes gleamed with interest. This was no ordinary mermaid. She was the queen of the night market, and she had noticed the human who dared to enter. A merchant with hollowed eyes offered Tyre a deal. "Give me your name, and I will show you the way out." Desperate, Tyre hesitated, but the merchant's voice was honeyed and tempting. Without a name, he would become one of them. As Tyre continued, shadows from his past began to haunt him. His regrets, mistakes, and fears took shape. He was forced to confront them, each one terrifying than the last. The mermaids fed on his fear, growing stronger. Suddenly, the mermaids became restless. They sensed Tayo's presence fully now. Their eyes gleamed with hunger as they glided after him, their laughter chilling. The market was no longer safe, and Tayo had become prey. Tayo ran, his heart pounding. The mermaids were fast, their tails gliding effortlessly through the air. Just as he thought he was caught, he stumbled upon a hidden passage. The old woman's voice echoed in his mind. Follow the light. At the end of the passage stood a tall figure, cloaked in shadows. He was the guardian of the night market, neither friend nor foe. He offered Tayo a choice. Continue deeper into the market and seek the queen, or leave now and never return. Tayo chose to continue, driven by a need to understand the market's secrets. But knowledge came at a price. The guardian warned him that the truth would change him forever. Once revealed, there would be no going back. Tayo found himself standing before a grand stall, far more ornate than the others. Inside, on a throne of pearls and coral, sat the mermaid's queen. Her eyes were cold, her smile unreadable. You have come far, she said softly, but at what cost? The queen offered Tayo a challenge. If he could solve her riddle, she would release him from the market. But if he failed, he would belong to her forever. The riddle was ancient, one that no mortal had ever solved. As Tayo pondered the riddle, he began to hear voices, whispers from the market, the souls of those who had been trapped before him. They cried out in warning, but their words were lost in the wind. Time was running out. The market began to shift, its boundaries growing tighter. The queen's gaze never left Tayo as he struggled with the riddle. Midnight was approaching, and with it, the tide would turn. Desperate for answers, Tayo stumbled upon a mirror stall. The vendor smiled and said, "The truth lies within." As Tayo looked into the mirror, he saw his reflection, twist and deform, showing him a glimpse of his faith if he failed the queen's test. In the reflection, Tayo noticed something, a clue hidden in the queen's throne. It was subtle, but it gave him a spark of hope. Perhaps the answer to the riddle wasn't in words, but in the market itself. With the clue in mind, Tayo raced back to the queen. Her eyes narrowed as he approached. Midnight was seconds away, and the market began to dissolve. Returning to the depths of the lagoon, this was his last chance. Tayo stood before the queen, his heart pounding. He took a deep breath and gave his answer, not in the words, but by placing a single pearl on her throne. The market stilled, and the queen's expression softened for the first time. The market began to fade, the mermaids returning to the water. The queen smiled. a real smile this time, and said, "You are free for now." The tide pulled the market back into the lagoon, and Tayo was left standing alone on the shore. Tayo returned to the mainland, shaken but alive. He couldn't tell anyone what had happened. For who would believe him? The market? The mermaids? The queen? It all felt like a dream, but the pearl in his pocket proved otherwise. Weeks passed, but Tayo couldn't shake the memory of the night market. He felt its pull, a lingering connection to the place that nearly consumed him. He knew deep down that he hadn't seen the last of it. One night, as Tayo stood by the lagoon, he heard the music again, the same haunting melody that had drawn him before. The market was calling him, but this time, he wasn't sure if he had the strength to resist. Tayo turned away from the water, but the pull was too strong. As he walked towards the city, he knew that the night market wasn't done with him. The mermaids would return, and when they did, he would have to face the queen once more.